Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsStamp.com, and I have a card that I've created using the WPlus9 STAMPtember exclusive stamps. The stamp set has a bunch of really fun elements in it, like flowers that are layered, birds, and also a lot of greens and a couple sayings. You can also get the matching die for this stamp set, and that matches that stamp just perfectly. To start my card off, I'm using a larger sheet of Nina White cardstock, and I'm using my Tim Holtz stamp positioner. I am stamping the backgrounds of the flowers. So these are the solid pieces. So I'm stamping with a lighter ink first, and then I'll add darker ink on top. So far I have used Rosy Cheeks, and right now I'm using a second stamping of MALIBLUE. It was a little bit too light for me, so using that stamp positioner, it's really easy to go back, re-ink, and get a darker image. I've just placed the bird on top of the flower, and I'll go ahead and grab that with the stamp positioner. I have left a little bit of room so I can add the feet and beak, which are in another image, and I'm using duckling ink. Once I have that stamped, I am going to add a little bit more of the duckling ink just to the bottom part of the bird, and then I can stamp that on. It gives it a little bit of a shadow. At this point, I have stamped a lavender flower, and I also have my Audrey blue ink, and I'll stamp the layered image that's going to go on top of the blue flower. So I'll ink this up, and I have it positioned to go right over that light blue flower, and now I have a little bit of depth and dimension. For the wing of the bird, I'm using Clementine ink, and I'll just ink up the little wing and press that right onto the other impression. And now I have a darker wing, and it coordinates well with the duckling color. I'm using apricot ink to stamp over the layered image of the rosy cheeks. I think these two colors go really well together for a light and a dark. So I've inked up that stamp really well, and now I can just press this right on over. I'll lift the lid and you can see how my layered flowers are starting to look. Hydrangea is the color I'll be using to go over that lavender flower, and I'm also going to be using my Audrey blue for a couple other little flowers that I've placed onto my platform. So I'll ink those up as well, and then I can stamp both at the same time. I'm happy with how my flowers look at this point, and I'm starting to add some leaves and stems, and the ink I'm using is a Simon Says Stamp Green Apple. I've placed two of the images onto my stamp positioner, and I've placed them just under those flowers, and I'm pressing them down, so now I can start to build up my green layers. I am inking up the hello message with the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, and I'll be stamping these right over some of the leaves and flowers. As a quick note, it's really important to stamp your message with the Intense Black ink over the other Simon Says Stamp inks. The other ones have a tendency to sit into the paper after about 10 minutes, but the Intense Black sits right on top, so you won't have any bleeding or feathering. I'm going to stamp another stem, and I've put down some post-it note paper to make a mask, and now I can peel that off, and that stem sits to the bottom of that hello. I'll also be masking off the hello, and I'll complete another stem just under that blue flower. And if you notice for my masks, I didn't cut or trim them, I just used the pieces of paper just to block out some of the image. Now I'll be stamping the beak and the feet of the bird. And this is a one stamp, and it just fits perfectly right onto the top and bottom of that bird. So here's how this looks close up. I think the colors coordinated well together, and now I'll trim this up to put it onto my card. So the finished card is placed onto a top folding 5.5 by 4.25 card. I have also stamped that I just wanted to say hi above the arrangement, and then I've added a little bit of twine just below my greeting and flowers. I think this turned out really well. I also added a few dots of my white Uniball pen to create some highlights. I hope I've given you some inspiration in using the WPlus9 Saying Hi set, which is our STAMPtember collaborative exclusive stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. Be sure to check out the links below for all the supplies used, and also a link to our blog post, which has additional inspiration. And as always, thanks so much for watching.